Hello to my friends at Face to Face Gaming. This is Travis Semulin Sowers, and we're jumping into another AFR draft. Today we're going to try out a premier draft, which is best of one as opposed to best of three. Normally I play best of three, but I do like to do a couple of the premier drafts every season just to make sure I have a rank somewhere in the middle of gold and get a couple rewards. And I also thought it might be a nice change of pace. And I have a draft, a best of three draft from the stream that I'm just in the middle of. So I'd have to start streaming, finish that, then record this, then go back. And it's like, you know what? Let's just do a premier draft. It'll be better all around. And it is a good opportunity to like point out some differences in some cards that are very good in best of one, but not so good in best of three, and vice versa. It's also interesting the level of players you'll have in the draft versus the gameplay. I think it's a very fun discussion to have. Do remember to check out Face to Face Games for all of your card game needs. So I think this is a relatively easy Dragon's Fire, although I could see an argument for Spoils of the Hunt if you really like green better, which is fine. But here's the interesting part that I found. Once you hit Platinum in Best of One, all of the opponents that you're playing against are consistently better than the opponents in Best of Three. Now, you may still have better opponents in Best of Three, but it'll be kind of ups and downs because of how the matchmaking works. But what's really interesting is all of the drafters in Best of Three are consistently better drafters than what you'll draft with in Best of One, because though your gameplay, your matches for Best of One are using MMR, the draft isn't. So when you sit down for a Best of One draft, you could be sitting down next to Ben Stark on one side of you, then me, then Susie, who's playing her first draft ever, then Billy, who likes green cards, then LSV, and then Joe, who won F&M once. And like, it's just impossible to get signals from that if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody wants to pass a blue mythic because they think blue sucks. I don't know what to tell you, man. So generally, if you play best of one, you'll be drafting with worse drafters and then playing against better players. So it's a really interesting experience that is somewhat like the limited that we played of old. I would have been excited about the Battlecry Goblin, and it does go nicely with the Dragon's Fire. And there's a lot of people that are into just forcing a deck, particularly in best of one. I'm still not ready to do that for best of one. If I get past a 5-mana bomb, I'm going to take the 5-mana bomb. That said, I am willing to entertain blue-red. That would even give us a dragon for Dragon's Fire, because I like the Chaos Channeler a lot. I also like the Hobgoblin Captain a lot. But this gives us a nice start to either red or blue. Ideally both. Weird pack, eh? I don't think I'd terribly miss an improvised weaponry or a soul knife spy, but if we shift into another color, I might terribly miss a precipitous drop, a priest of ancient lore, or a moonblessed cleric. I'm going to take the moonblessed cleric, which probably seems way out there, but if we get into something like green-white, the classes that you can get for that deck are pretty absurd and pretty crucial to its performance. So I'd rather have access to this if I have to bail on either of these colors, which currently I'm not convinced that I will. Like, Air Cult Elemental's fine, Fireball's fine, Something on the Watch is fine. I'm just going to take the Evolving Wilds, though. And here we are, with a Grim Bounty and a Ray of Enfeeblement. Pick 6. Still have to be careful in assuming that that's a signal. Because, like I'm saying, best of one draft is weird. I think I'm probably red, and it's safe to take Swarming Goblins. I don't know red what yet. But I'm again going to delay that pick because I really like Air Cult Elemental. And I've even been having some success with Earth Cult Elemental. I like cults is what I'm trying to say. It's not that bad. You get a free haircut. But I really need to figure out what our other color is going to be. It might be green. Okay, we've got a solid base of red creatures, and I'm just going to have to pair this with um, black, I guess. Like, here's a Sepulchral Ghoul and a Ray of Enfeeblement. I may just end up in black-red Sag. I could accidentally end up in the best color pair in the set. Sure, I don't mind that. I mean, the Ghoul's already good just with the Swarming Gobos. So this is currently what I'm planning to play. We'll see if anything changes that. So here's one of the reasons to have, like, gone kind of highly on the Moonblessed Cleric with the idea that, hey, we can grab the Paladin class with it. There's a pretty compelling argument to take the Black Dragon here. I think I might still prefer Dragon's Fire. Although with the Hoarding Ogre and a little focus, we could make the Black Dragon work. It does mean that I'm, like, hard committing to black. But I think after that last pack, it's not really about me hard committing to black. Black is hard committed to me. So Dragonfire would be kind of a safe pick. But, I mean, there's also some possibility that we abandon the red. It's not like these cards are amazing. There's a world where we're playing blue-black. It's just a lot harder to figure out what the open lane is. When, again, you might have somebody at the table that's just taking green cards because they like green. It probably sounds ridiculous for me to say that drafting with people who are lower skill level makes the draft more difficult, but it does, right? Imagine you're playing poker with people who don't know the rules, and they're just or what the plays that you should make, and they're calling with hands that are garbage. It's going to make that game more difficult for you to win because you're like, I don't know what they're doing. You don't get any safe bets. But as long as we're going to get Grim Bounties, like I could almost just start taking the red cards out of this now, right? Because black is so open that we're just getting good black cards, and we'll figure out the rest of it eventually, I guess. We don't necessarily have to have a sacrifice theme. It is worth considering that we basically got past one good red card. Yeah, I had mentioned there's a possibility we go blue-black, and this is that possibility. Which is a bit of a shame because we're passing up on the Warlock class, which I have a newfound appreciation of. It's a good card. But I'm going to start considering something like this. If the cards line up, we'll move. If they don't, we've got enough playables to move back. But like this looks like a really good start too. And blue's usually incredibly open. But we'll see. And then there was a Tiger Tribe Hunter and a Hunter's Mark. There are some people who believe that removal is overrated, and that may be some of what we're seeing here. If I take the Tiger Tribe Hunter, I've probably got enough Herpaderps to play an Active Treason if we see one. And there's not really a blue card I could take here. If I take the Hoarding Ogre, it's possible I could even splash one of these. But I think I'm on the Tiger Tribe. Alright. Not my favorite card, but the Ghast is certainly playable. So we may need to play the red just to get to playables. Because Swarming Goblins will win you some games. So we're at 14 playables. I've still got a Herald of Hadar, which I can jam. I really just need to get some 1 and 2 drops and 3 drops to clear this out, some of the vampires and whatnot. But I always like good mana. Yeah, there's a bunch of blue cards here. But not really anything I can do anything with. I guess we'll take the Pit Trap and kind of hope we don't play it, but we might. I've also seen people like over-prioritizing cards like Deadly Dispute. Okay, now we can start getting the Price of Loyalty. Which is a fine playable card, but not something I think you need to go nuts over. I've seen people playing decks with like 7 of them. It's like, at a certain point, you gotta stop drawing cards and figure out how you're going to kill me. I think our removal suite is good enough that I don't need Eye of the Beholder, but I might want to feign death. And I do typically like a Baleful Beholder at the top end. So now I'm starting to get more interested in treasure producers because our curve kind of goes 2, 4, 5. It's like I need a 3-drop or 2. Yeah, I always want to take Bag of Holding, and I've played Bag of Holding in Best of 1 AFR and got the win. Still been consistently playing 18 lands in this format. I don't think this deck is going in that direction, and I also don't think it's responsible not to take the Barbarian here. I've also, it's worth mentioning, we've managed to get wins with Tiamat. You can do it. I like it in base green. Red-black can do it if you've got an insane amount of treasures, but you need a lot. And I found a home for the Drider. It's in blue-black where you're playing Fly and have some additional good targets for Fly, like the 3/2 that draws cards. Okay. I think we can probably take that. I like Magic Missile, but Reaper's Talisman is pretty amazing. So let's get Reaping. Okay. Best of 1, ladies and gentlemen. So right now I literally just need bodies. This is looking rather stacked. That's a body. And I think it's one that we're interested in. So come on in. Gives us a treasure. We can use it to ramp into a 4-drop or 5-drop a little faster. Could certainly play a Price of Loyalty here. Okay, so we could have 2, which I can appreciate. Or we could have the Fang Blade, which would do a nice, like, a 3-drop, which I think I'd like, and B, a defensive creature, which there are times when we will need to block. I do not think those times will come up very often when we have this many Reaper's Talismans, but I think I like the first Fang Blade a little better. This is tough. Do we want the second Fang Blade or the second Hoarding Ogre? Because the Ogre's like, yo dog, you can actually cast the 6 and 7s. I believe in you. If they can attack. I think I'm supposed to take the Fang Blade. I like having the early drops. And there's 1 Price of Loyalty to round it out. So we'd play Price of Loyalty with the 2 ghouls and the hunter as our sacrifice effects. I think I could be pretty happy with that. Okay. And you know what? We'll find room for you, Ghoul. Like, the Army Veteran's kind of cute with the Reaper's Talismans, but I probably don't need it. This is normally where I'd be looking for cards for the sideboard, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to be thinking about that for Best of 1 now, does it? I know a lot of people really like Rust Monster in a Treasures deck. I kind of don't. Well, that's not fair. I don't think I have enough treasures to like Rust Monster. I could also cut the Black Dragon and play 16 lands here. It's not like we're going to have trouble with the colors with 2 duels. I also don't have to play Ray of Enfeeblement. So we've got some decisions to make. I like all of these cards, but I don't think I have room for any of them. I like the Beholder as an include in Best of One, as it's enchantment removal and a color combination that really just can't ever get it normally. And the Menace can be surprisingly relevant. So I'll often end up with one Baleful Beholder in a deck. So it still feels weird to me to like play a deck with 16 lands and a 7-drop. Like, I can't quite wrap my mind around that being okay. But if we're going to use treasures and sort of count them as land adjacent, I'm probably going to get a treasure here and here, right? So that's sort of like an extra land. I'm going to get some here, so that's sort of like an extra land. I think we can actually give this a go and run the 16-lander. The hand smoother should make sure that we at least have 3 in our opener. It feels weird to me from years of experience playing best of 3 to play a 16-land deck that's like, sure, I got 3 5-drops, a 6 and a 7. But I mean, treasure changes that calculation as well as the hand smoother. Let's see if there's anything we're not playing that we should be. Because I talked about maybe not playing the armor. The orc! Got 16 creatures, could consider something like a Feign Death. It's interesting with ETB effects, which we've got some of. I'm also currently looking at playing Fates Reversal, and I might prefer the combat trick to the Fates Reversal. Because I don't know that buying back any of our creatures is worth the extra tax there, whereas defending one very well might be. I think I kind of like that. Because it's not like there's something super amazing for us to get back. I mean, we've got good creatures. Like, sure, it's cool to get some of this stuff back. But, like, I'm not excited to be reanimating a Ghast or really any of these 2-drops. All right, cool. Let's give her a go. Best of 1 drafting, my friends. You can't make this stuff up. So now that we've gone through that draft pod where things were a little weird with it, I don't think I've seen 2 Grim Bounties as an example in a draft in best of 3 in at least a month. But now that we're through that, I think I'm still ranked in gold. We should be matched against pretty decent players. To be fair, probably not quite my skill level because I don't play best of 1 enough. But that's the biggest like difference for me between best of 1 and best of 3 is you're always going to play against good players and you're always going to draft in pods where you're like, how is this still here? What's going on? It's an interesting experience, to say the least. The Evolving Wilds pretty much saves this hand from being one we'd have to mulligan. And 16 lands, no problem. We've got 4 in our opener, essentially. Give us something to blow up, or no? Right, and this hand now has a plan. Don't think it's that bad a plan, either. Racing a Reaper's Talisman is an interesting proposition. This feels kind of weird, but I think it might be the right call. Gives me plenty of blockers and lets me play the Swarming Goblins next turn, which is just infinite bodies to throw at them with the Reaper's Talisman. Like, if I want to block the 3-1 here and the 2-2, I totally can do that. Because their best option is still to try to race this. I'd kind of rather have the counters for the Goblin. So I think we go like this. Actually, this seems fine. If they've got a trick, at least they're not playing anything else. And they don't have enough mana out for Rallying Cry or whatever it is. The one that gets me. This should finish things out nicely. Yeah. We didn't even get to use the price of loyalty, but would have been nice. Would have been real nice. Yeah, we're at gold tier 3. So this will, like, potentially we could get to platinum if I played enough of these. It is worth, like, maintaining a rank just so you get some ranked rewards. And some people really enjoy best of one. I think primarily for that feeling of being able to rank up. But I just like being able to play without having to spend a lot of money. When I've pushed to hit Mythic, I've invariably had to put money into buying gems. But when I'm streaming, playing best of 3, and talking to people about, like, most of my stream and videos is really about teaching people what I love so much about Limited and how to be good at it. And I don't really feel like I need to spend money to get a rank to prove that. If I could get the rank without spending the money, then there's something there. But otherwise, Mythic rank always seems like a combination of time, money, and skill. It's not like there's no skill involved. Because it was hard. I did it. It took me like 2 solid weeks while I was streaming. Other times you just open, you know, Reaper's Talisman and like, whatever, I guess I just win. I'm not quite sure how this works out, but I'm interested to find out. So what happens if it has 2 Reaper's Talismans on it? Seems incredibly interesting to me. Guess we're gonna find out. Seems pretty good. I think I like it. I only meant to spend 1 treasure. That's unfortunate that it didn't quite give me the option there. I have not played with this card a lot. Because black-red is typically not open in best of 3. I'm used to drafting blue-green. I meant to make this a 3-3 and potentially block the Wanderer. But it'll be alright. Oh man, they're in kind of a lot of danger here. So they have to trade it with the Wanderer. What if I take the Wanderer and swing with both? They have to chump block with this guy. Well, that still leaves them with the Wanderer. It's just I get to use this as a removal spell for that. Because I could potentially kill them with this next turn by taking one of their own creatures and swinging, right? Like if I drain for 4 here, I just need another drain for 4 and they're dead. So I could take whatever they play, equip the 2 talismans to it, if I draw a land, and then kill them. And if I don't draw a land, I'm presumably drawing something that matters. So I reckon if you can set yourself up for land to be a good draw, I'm pretty happy with that. If they don't have another blocker, I'm probably already fine. Although, at this point, if I try to Price of Loyalty something and they have mana up, it could be real bad. But in this case, I think we're okay. So I need to make sure I take the thing that they can't sacrifice, which is you. They can sacrifice something else, but they can't sacrifice this. Interestingly, if they hadn't played the Moon Druid, I couldn't kill them there, because they could have used the mana to sacrifice whatever I tried to take. It's interesting when there's a format where Active Treason is actually a highly sought-after card. Because, again, I've seen people going nuts. Metal Mario recently, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, but I'm not going to forget it, did a stream where he picked every Active Treason effect that he saw, and I think ended up with like 10 of them. He said he wanted to find out what the real price of loyalty was, and as it turns out, the price of loyalty is 1,500 gems. So it's not like you should take all of them. I think it was actually something like 7 that he got. But it is interesting to see a format where that is a card that is somewhat sought after. And can lead to some interesting decisions when you kind of have to play around it some. All right, Dan. Kind of a slow hand, but I suppose we'll take it. Gonna leave black because I already have a 1 mana black combat trick and 2 double blacks in hand. But if our opponent's out to something aggressive, this could be a little nervous. Naturally draw a swamp after leading black. You know how it is. It's not the most aggressive card I've ever seen, but it's okay. I don't really want to kill that, so I kind of hope they play something Grim Bounty worthy here. Not quite Grim Bounty worthy, but it's implying that they're going to have stuff that's Grim Bounty worthy. Or that they don't know what they're doing. Like, there's some argument to kill it, ramp to the Beholder, and make them sacrifice their enchantment. I really hope I draw something else to do so I don't have to consider Grim Bountying the Sentinel. I didn't. I think it's the right call. This is not my favorite use of removal. But don't judge me. Actually, judge away. I think the Beholder next turn is a pretty good play. We can cut him off a double green. Like, I think this card is pretty bad. If they're playing it, it's probably because they're looking to ramp to something significant. And that probably wasn't it. Although, again, cutting them off of double green has value. Well, not anymore, but you know what I mean. And a feigned deathing beholder actually sounds kind of terrifying. Don't you kill it. Man, they just speedrun the dungeon. That's pretty good. I wonder if I'm supposed to attack with the beholder. Because I could probably get him to block it with some stuff and then feign death it. I think I am, because the Tiger Tribe Hunter can mostly hold this area anyway. Could also potentially play Swarming Goblins here. The Tiger Tribe makes like a top-decked Active Treason better. Like, this isn't quite a 2-for-1 value scale, but it's close enough. Well, now it kind of is. So now I definitely like the Tiger Tribe Hunter. Because I could play the Goblins, sacrifice the Goblins, kill Varys, have some tokens left over. We could also top deck Active Treason, and I feel like if the Varys is dead, they don't really have much of a board presence anymore. Yeah, with the ward, I can't quite get rid of that, but I think this line still has a lot of merit. Pew pew! Still not sure how flavorfully this is a Tiger Tribe Hunter. But, you know what? It's working. That's not the one... Well, maybe if you've got a combat trick, that's the one to block. I could have just killed that, eh? I didn't even think about it. It was like I probably don't have to. But I could have Black Dragon, flung the token at it, and probably just won the game on the spot. Sorry, a little distracted at the moment. Got a text that has left me in a bit of a fragile mood. But it's not like they're going to play anything that's going to change this board state dramatically. Have a goblin. Look at me. Ranking up. So kind of the break-even point for best of one drafting is 5 wins. At 4, you get most of your entry fee back. At 5, you get all of it plus a little bit. So if we can get to at least 5, I'm pretty happy here. And I believe that this deck can. I also don't think it's guaranteed. Like, there's a lot of RNG in best of one that you can't really recoup. And linear strategies are paid off a little bit better. Which doesn't come up as often in limited, to be fair, but it certainly can. It's not a bad opener, is it? Be better if we were on the play. Don't need to equip just yet, but soon. Soon it will be cheese. That's pretty good for them. I don't care for that very much. I'm probably Grim Bountying that ghoul. Because that's one of the more dangerous cards in a black-red deck. And this leads us to potentially Berserk Beholder if we need to, or like Ghoul and start equipping the talismans. Because I think we're making this trade too. And most of this is because they were on the play. Swarming Goblins works nicely. It gives me a bunch of bodies. It does put us further away from the Beholder, but I'm kind of okay with that. Because, like, a Goblin with 2 talismans is bloody terrifying. And if we want to, we could block the Zombie Ogre with the Goblins and this, but I don't know that we want to. I have some interest in getting a Sepulchre Ghoul down, too. Just so they can't have fun with Price of Loyalty. I kind of want to have all the fun with Price of Loyalty and not let them have any. Stuff dying on our turn as opposed to theirs is pretty good for us. And again, I kind of like getting the Ghoul down because I can play this and double equip with a land. We'll get there, don't worry. This kind of hurts. I don't want to sacrifice anything. But it looks like I have to. That was a good turn for them. I would not mind an act of treason here, or perhaps even just a land. Got an interesting line here, though, so we'll take it. Do you see what I'm thinking about doing? Because I think that may be our line. I don't think we're very likely to win this game. But I think if we were to win this game, the play I'm about to make is most likely what would lead to that. That one's a bit unfortunate. But here we are. Not only can you have it, it's going to be a little bigger for you. Because I need these chump blockers. And I need this high roll. So can you hit something better than dang it, Bobby! I needed better than that. This is not good enough. Dargon's Fire don't quite do it, do it? Lets me take out that. Yeah, 2, this is not working. I think I'm just dead. I don't want to be just dead. Yeah, I don't see a way around this. I think they got me. Needed to hit that land a couple turns ago, and we might have been onto something. All right, that's okay. I had to jinx it by saying, I'm pretty sure we'll get to 5 wins. This hand has some potential to draw a swamp, essentially, but I like that we've got a way to kill a 2-drop and interact. Again, we're on the draw, so that's kind of not perfect. Best of 1 really seems to favor whoever's on the play. Part of the reason why is because there's a hand smoother, and the hand smoother is going to benefit aggro decks far more than mid-range or control-y decks. Because the big cost to playing an aggressive deck is that you want to play 15 or 16 lands, but you may not be able to because then you would not draw enough lands to have 2 or 3 in your opener. But with the hand smoother, you're kind of guaranteed 2 or 3 in your opener without having to mulligan. So there's kind of no punishment for aggro decks running less lands. So if the best thing you can be doing, and I'm not saying you can't draft anything else, you certainly can, but without a doubt, one of the best things you can be doing in best of 1 is playing an aggressive deck that's cheating by playing 15 or 16 lands. If that's the best thing you can be doing, then being on the play is obviously a lot better for you. Whereas sometimes the hand smoothing algorithm doesn't work out in your favor. And that kind of is what it is. These moments feel a little bit worse in best of 1 because you're like, I can't really recover from this, and I don't get to sideboard in my artifact destruction. Thanks for the mountain dag. But it's also top 11 cards. There were no swamps. Probably nothing I could do about that. In a sense, them not developing the board is good, but in another sense, because we're dead, it's not really actually that good. Like, I'm a try. This doesn't leave me quite dead. This puts me to 1. I still have no idea how we're supposed to get out of this, but that's a problem for future Travis. Like, I could even use this to kill that now. And then I just have to deal with the 2 menace creatures next turn. That sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. I'm sure this will be fine. Like, just finish me off. Go through the Temple of Annihilation and get this over with. Thank you. All right, I really cursed myself by saying I'm sure we'll get to 5 wins. I still feel pretty confident about the deck, but it would be a bit of a disaster not to get at least 4 wins with it. Aggressive aggro decks look to win quickly with cheap creatures before the opponent can set up effective defenses. All right. I like a lot of what this one's selling. There's a world where we take that Shambling Geist and manage to get a 2-for-1 off of it, right? Like, you can sort of see it. Like, imagine they play an X1 here. We take it, sack it to this. Okay, the Soul Knife Spy doesn't work quite as well, but I have some thoughts. Like, I like drawing cards. So I'll draw a card with your guy. And now I don't need it anymore. I was thinking there's a possibility they have a counterspell. As it turns out, they did not. They just didn't want to spend any mana that turn. Or didn't have anything they could spend the mana on. You've got a Reaper's Talisman, have you? Interesting. I've gotten my use out of it. Don't worry, we're gonna cast all the, we're gonna equip it and do all the things. Just I want to make sure we're using our mana as efficiently as possible. I also want to be careful so that when they hit their air cult elemental, it's not completely destroying our board. See, there, now we can equip and do something else. It's kind of rough when our board state is so much better that we can't get the trigger off the Reaper's Talisman, but I suppose I'll take it. Okay, that's good news. So we're close to gem neutral now, which is my goal with any drafting. Ideally, we're making more gems. I tried to do, and you can see the gems that I have here displayed. I think we're actually down about 5k gems in AFR overall, which is fine by me. That's okay. And I spend some gems on cosmetics. I like the avatars. I like the neat stuff they did. I made a run to Mythic in Strixhaven, mainly because my buddy Hunter was encouraging me to do so, and I ran out of gems doing that. We had to buy more, and then I ran out of those too. So I think I spent $100, but went from bronze to Mythic. But I did not find it to be terribly rewarding. I think I did qualify for some tournament, but I didn't care about the tournament because it was standard or historic. Okay, that's not ideal, but we can work with it. It'd be nice to top deck a 2-drop. Top decking Killian would be pretty nice here too. Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Somebody's got a plan. I've seen people moving towards 3-color weird mana decks. I don't entirely know that I would dig that in best of 1. Well, I was gonna say I want to get the Swarming Goblins going, and I still do. It can attack through, it gives me a little bit of value, and if I feign death it, I get additional value. And if they don't do much else, I can play the Chaos Channeler and try to use that to hit lands. Like, if their plan, which seems to be stall, continues to work, then I'll cast the Black Dragon eventually anyway. These goblin tokens should be useful for the hunter too. If we need to use it to get rid of a burb. That's a lot of rope. It doesn't say it comes with a grappling hook. I don't really understand. Go get him, team. Yeah, I'd say this one's looking pretty good. That is a play you could make. Just think about 50 Foot of Rope. It doesn't tap the creature. It just makes something that's already tapped not untap. So that could be a Today I Learned scenario, potentially. I have also not found this to be a format where 1/1 flyers for 1 mana are particularly valuable. Although I've had decks where I played the white one. It was mainly just so we could venture. I had one deck where I played the blue flyer that scries, that Raven. I was incredibly unhappy with it. And like looking at the deck, it should have been good. I had like a Black Staff of Waterdeep. There was valuable cards to scry to. I had some equipment I wanted to put on it. Like it looked like it was gonna, if that card was gonna be playable, that would have been the deck for it. And I was never happy to see it, even turn 1. So like I think that card's just bad. It's a really rough one. I don't think I can keep this, which sucks. Because mulliganing is giving yourself the opportunity to get a worse hand and one less card. But on the draw, I don't think this hand's going to do anything. This one at least has some potential, so let's keep it. I got to toss back the combat trick. Okay, white is good news because that means our Ray of Enfeeblement will probably do something here. I want to jam the Armory Veteran first because we're a bit choked on red mana. If we'd like to, we could gang block this and use the Ray of Enfeeblement. Which I think we probably want to do if there's 2 of them. And it's relatively safe. It's a chance to use this as an actual removal spell. So now it's our opportunity to decide, do we want to get aggressive and fire off the Grim Bounty? Or do we just want to play another Ghoul and sit here? And I think the rest of our deck is better if we're being aggressive. Although we're obviously going to have to draw like Active Treason, Reaper's Talisman, something like that. If we continue to rip lands, it's not going to look real good. Or they could get frustrated and scoop when my hand is basically garbage and they're at 16. I'll totally take that. All right. So what I was actually doing with those two losses was getting us to a moment of dramatic tension so that you could properly enjoy the content that you're witnessing. Because this last match is for all of the marbles. Like this is 400 gems riding on this win. That would be a big deal. Right now we're up 300 gems for the event. We win this, we're up 400. If you win a best of 3, you're up double your entry fee, which is another reason I don't quite love these. Because even winning isn't as good. But it's probably obvious that best of 1 is not my preferred format by now. I don't have anything against people who enjoy it, and there's lots of reasons to enjoy it. Limited time being a huge factor. If you can't like commit to sitting down and being able to spend up to 30 minutes on a single match, I can appreciate wanting to play a game or two on your lunch break, and then maybe play a game, put your kids to bed, play another game, go watch a movie. Like that's a big factor for me. Wanting to rank up is a big factor. Being intimidated by sideboards is something that a lot of people say, but I don't think that's a good reason not to be playing best of 3. I think that's a good reason to learn how to sideboard, which is something I like teaching people. I am the Warlock. They're black-red too. Oh. I was going to use that. All right, show me your feigned death. No? Okay. That's an all right draw. No class for you. There's a mind rot in this format, right? So holding this land might make some sense. Because I'll just play it and the Black Dragon next turn, but if they make me discard, I might want to hold the dragon. Charge! Man, they got plenty of them manticores. Go get him. I don't want to play these. Doesn't let me cheat. That's unfortunate. Whee! Well, there you go, boys and girls. Not a bad one. I can play one more best of one draft on stream if I want to make sure we hit platinum for the season and get pretty decent rewards. So I may do that later today. But that hopefully was something that was enjoyable here. I enjoyed showing kind of the differences between best of one and best of three. And like I said, it's okay to prefer whichever one you prefer and enjoy whichever one you enjoy. Both are great ways to draft, a fun play experience, and skill dependent. I do think the higher ranks, things start to get a little twisted a bit. And that's why I have less interested in playing it. But like I said, it's okay for you to disagree, and it's very okay for you to enjoy something else. Thank you for hanging out with me this week. And thank you to Face to Face Games for sponsoring this series so that I can bring you drafts every week. Do be sure to check them out for all of your magical and card gaming related needs. And if you like, come by my stream sometime. It's at twitch.tv/Semulin. Hope y'all have an awesome week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.